Keep going.
In your own experience, have you experienced a situation where art was used to bring out change?
Yes.
Wow. Yeah. So short answer is yes. My belief is that any significant change that we see is the result of some type of artistic statement, right? And now art takes a lot of different forms. And so I imagine a lot of y'all know who Emmett Till is, right? When Emmett Till died, his mother did something that was pretty, I guess at the time, controversial, would have been pretty controversial. And she made the decision to leave the casket open because Emmett Till's body had been badly mutilated as a result of the way he was killed. But she wanted everyone to see what had happened to her son. Now, a lot of people would not look at that as a artistic statement, right? But in a way it was, right? She wanted to create impact. She wanted what people saw to create an impact. People took pictures of that, and that picture went around the world. And those type of pictures were caused the ignition of what we now think of as the civil rights movement, although there's some other factors involved also. But I mean, we always see these movies, we see books, we see actual visual pieces of art that somehow change the way that we have a conversation about the way things happen, right? One of the things I would love to do right now is to be able to have this conversation with more women, with more Black women specifically on the panel, because I can get to that later. Let's just say that what's important for us to recognize is that when you say something that is true, when you say something that is amplified, that you have the ability to change the way people think about things and change the way that people do things, right? Even something as the example that I came up with when I was thinking about this question was, again, going back to Black Panther. And I know that the change that it made does not seem as politically relevant, but it was a huge cultural relevance to somebody who grew up watching science fiction their entire lives and always had to spend their lives as the side character, right? The supporting character. I remember the first time I was so happy to see Danny Glover make it to the end of The Predator 2, right? I mean, that was the first time I ever seen a Black guy make it to the end of a horror film and not die. I was happy just for that, right? But to see a movie about Black people, not just Black people, but about Africans specifically, in a non-colonial environment, started to raise these ideas about what do we look like without colonialism? What does our world look like without colonialism? And the conversation we've been having since then about a post-colonial world, a post-colonial mind, post-colonial diet, post-colonial school curriculum, you know? And I think a lot of those ideas were inspired by the conversations that came out of Black Panther coming out, which is, you know, done by this multi-million-dollar, you know, corporation, Disney. You know, they're not here for social change. They're here to make money. But it does go to show exactly how just those types of images can make huge impacts. And so, yeah, I'm going to stick with my Black Panther for my answer.
Well, yeah, I have two answers to that question. I've experienced for about 7 years, I worked in a after-school program, and I was the art teacher. And I'm going to tell you, many days I went into that art room in Chicago's housing projects. There were so many problems. There were so many things. I was a coach, but also the art teacher, trying to help kids with reading, but also trying to inspire them to think outside of what boxes they've been placed in. You know, a lot of kids are super creative. I think I was probably one of those kids and often ignored. The day that it kind of opened up my mind and felt a sense of accomplishment was we actually published a book in the program through one of the kids who was, quote unquote, graduating out of the program. And and it was called The Boy of Color. You can probably still find it on Amazon. It's crazy. And basically, it was kind of like Stacey's moment where, yeah, I had been doing all this, showing my work, you know, and trying to, you know, basically put my best foot forward as an art teacher, as an artist. And then one of my students came up and became a star. You know? and it was her story, and I helped her digitize it. And it wasn't as easy back then as it is now to digitize, but basically we hand drew her artwork together and got it into book format, and went down to a publisher in Tennessee and published it. And I mean, my mind was blown because it started out as just wanting to help a few of these kids see that you have more than people say you have. And I know that feeling of knowing deep inside yourself, you have more, you can do more, you can be more. My other example, and this is more recent, you probably can't see it, but this is the mural on the wall at Common Grounds. And once again, I didn't paint it, but I commissioned someone to do this painting because it's what I wanted to put on the wall. And you know, we moved into this space, and she's a white artist, I think she's about 21 now. And I told her the story of what I wanted, and I sketched it, and she took the ball and ran with it. And not a day goes by that people walk into the cafe. They get the message of what we were trying to present. This is about how the world is impacted by something as simple as coffee, chocolate, tea, and it says it on the wall. And I can point to the wall, and suddenly I have a story to communicate from behind the counter. And I can't wait to see what we can do next, you know, because this was, here's a young white artist. What can we do with a young group of Black artists? And I hope we'll be moving into a bigger space at some point and doing something even better. So I'm excited by that question.
I'd like to challenge us all to think about how we think about change. Right? If you make art and it makes you feel good on a bad day, that's change. Sometimes we think about art as this grand political statement that changes the entire world, and it's not always that. Sometimes it is that, right? Sometimes, you know, but before you change the world, you have to change you. And sometimes that art that you make has to empower you and change you before it changes anyone else. You cannot even, as an artist, you cannot even guarantee that the art you're going to make is going to change anything. One of the latest projects I did a couple of months ago, I think it's up right now, may still be up in the city of Buffalo, are these 12 billboards that I did, and it was called Black Matters. And there were 12 billboards with these statements: Black health matters, Black joy matters, Black creativity matters, Black history matters, Black futures matters, Black justice matters, Black family matters, Black love matters, et cetera. Black education matters. I might have named all 12 of them, I'm not sure. I think Black freedom matters. That might have been the last one. I have no idea if that's going to change, you know, injustice in Buffalo. Hopefully, it has sparked a lot of conversations. And in that, sometimes that's the best you can hope for, is that you're going to make a piece of art and people are going to dialogue with it and have the necessary conversations. The other project I'm working on right now, you know, going back, we were talking about Black Panther a moment ago. We've had our Wakandas in America, right? Next year is the 100th anniversary of the destruction of Greenwood, a district in Tulsa, right? Which was a Black utopian space that was very affluent. And so affluent that was more affluent in many ways than the white district, the neighboring district. And I'm making a graphic novel right now about that. It hasn't even been announced yet. And I shouldn't even probably be talking about this over the recording.
New
right?
stuff.
Yeah, Susan, you will have it in your library. Like, so here's the thing, like this book, there's not a graphic novel that exists around the Tulsa Race Massacre or the rebuilding of Greenwood, right? I have no idea if that's going to make the type of impact that I would love for it to make. A few years ago, I did a book called I Am Alfonso Jones, and I actually hoped that that graphic novel would end police brutality. I actually hoped that police would say, you know what, we're gonna stop killing Black and brown people. We're gonna stop killing people. This book has enlightened me. No, it didn't stop at all. But a librarian came up to me, she knew me, and she called me in class one day, and I just happened to pick up the phone. I was like, I don't know why I feel like I should pick up this call. And she was like, Stacey, I didn't understand Black Lives Matter. I thought all lives mattered. And then after talking to you, seeing you work on I Am Alfonso Jones, talking with you every day, and I'm reading the graphic novel, I really thought about this. And she shared this story. And she was like, one day my son was walking on the train tracks, and the police stopped him and asked him if he was okay, if he needed anything. I can only imagine, had my son been Black, how that encounter would have ended. Yep. Now, did that art make a change for that librarian? I have no idea, but she considered something that she had not considered before. I count that as change, right? That's kind of a long answer, but I think from going from the micro to the macro, change happens in you first and making you feel good and empowered. But then it goes to these other ways of challenging police brutality and hopefully, you know, maybe, right, maybe our world will be different tomorrow, hopefully. And I think that's if we can quantify the change that we bring about in art, if we could say this is going to be the thing and this is going to have this percentage of change for the better, that's a wonderful thing. But most times we can't even do that. It's great we can though.
Yes. Yeah, there's no secret formula. I agree with you, Stacey. You just got to put it out there, pray, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You definitely have to know your calling. I think being self-aware is important. Finding your heart, your passion, your calling, and operating in your gift, your gifts, you know, is very important. I think that's a really good question, because I struggle with that. That's a good question. Yeah. Yeah, I struggle with that. Tiffany, you came up with that question too?
I did.
I don't like that question.
You don't like that question?
I do. I like all your questions. I like messing with you.
Yeah, good job.
I'm glad you do. And I kind of came up with that one too, going back to the murals or the pieces that's been painted in the street. And I know they're starting to make street signs. So when you turn a corner, now you're going to be able to see Black Lives Matter. So that's kind of where I was going. Yeah, so it is a way to make impact with art. And like you said, it doesn't always have to be something, a grand gesture or something political. It has to be something that's meaningful for you, and how does it make you feel in that moment?
That's exciting. Can you imagine? Excuse me, where do you live? Yeah, I live on Black Lives Matter's Way. Right. I live on the corner of Freedom and Justice. Right.
For all. Yeah.
Right. That's great. You know.
Yeah. But see, something like that before, I don't think they would ever thought to make a street like that until it was painted in the street. Mm-hmm. So it's like art can make a big impact and change the world.
Definitely.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'd love to see a mural or something, you know, maybe I have to do this, but black lives holding the hands of everyone who matter. You know, we can take the lead sometime. We don't always have to be at the back of the line. I think that is part of what this conversation is about. We can be difference makers for the rest of society versus always feeling like inferior and have nothing to bring to the table. But that'd be a beautiful piece of art.
I think that's why Afrofuturism is important.
Yep.
Yeah. I think that representation says a lot. Does a lot too.
All righty.